Hey, so we've got quadratics. These are parabolas, obviously. The reason you know something's a parabola is x squared will be the highest power of x. And so you will know that this turns out to be a parabola. And so let's get going with this thing. So there's a couple things here. Then we have a x squared plus bx plus c. This is your I think it's called the general form. It's either the general, yeah, it's the general, I think, and then the other one's the standard. Typically, you'll see it written like this. And what happens here is if a is greater than 0, meaning a equals, I don't know, 0.5, 1, 3, 1,000, so on, then your parabola will have a shape that is upward facing. It looks like a U. If a is less than 0, these are any of your negative numbers, -1, -0.5, -3, -1,000, and so on, then it will have an upside down orientation or downward facing. That's what I would call this. So just from these two things, you can figure this out. To find the vertex, there's a way to do this. We use x is equal to -b/2a. Okay, so let's say that I give you 3x squared plus 6x minus 7. And we want to find the vertex. Then we do x equals -6/2 times 3, which gives us -6/6, which is -1. So now we know the value at x is -1 is the vertex, and we can figure out the y value. We plug that into the equation. We have 3 times -1 squared plus 6 times -1 minus 7, which is going to be 3 times -1 is 3 times 1. 6 times -1 times not times, minus 7. And then that's 3 minus 6 minus 7, which is 3 minus 6 is -3, -10. And now we know the vertex is -1, -10. So you get the x value, you plug it into the parabola, or I'm sorry, into the quadratic equation for x, and then you solve that, and that will tell you the y value. Okay, next. So you see, that's what this says. F of -b/2a is exactly what I just did, because -b/2a was -1 in that case. The vertex is a min if upward facing and a max if downward facing. So if you notice, there is a minimum value. It's where the parabola reaches the very bottom. And there is a maximum value. It's where the parabola reaches the very top. This is a minimum if it's upward facing, and this is a max if it is downward facing. There's obviously no min on this one because it's pointing downward, so it goes on indefinitely down, and then the other one goes up forever and forever, and so there is no boundary in terms of the opposite. It does have a min, one does have a max, but they don't have both. Okay. Finding the zeros. Well, you guys have done this before. So if you wanted to do this, 3x squared plus 6x minus 7. This is not going to be nice. We have many ways we can do this. We could try factoring. You could try quadratic formula, which is what we're going to use. X equals -b, which is -6. Plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 3 times -7 all over 2 times 3, which is -6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus, nope, that's plus 28 times 3 is, I don't know, 75. plus 9, 84. All over 2 times 3, which is 6, which is going to equal negative 6 plus or minus the square root. Add 4, that's, add the 6, that's 90. Add the 30, that's 120. Over 6. So let's see what we can do. 120 is 12 times 10. 2 and 5. 4 and 3. So then this is negative 6 plus or minus. So what I'm doing is 2, 2. 2's come out. All these 3 stay in. So this is going to be 2. 2 of these 2's comes out. Square root of 3 times 2 times 5. So 15 times 2, 30. And then finally we have negative 6. Okay, let's make this nicer. This is going to be negative 6 over 6 plus or minus 2 over 6 square root 30, which is negative 1 plus or minus square root of 30 divided by 3. Those will be your 2 zeros. Notice it's plus or minus, so you're going to add something, you're going to subtract something, and you got 2 sides of the parabola. And therefore, we know that this actually crosses the x-axis, so their picture might look something like this. At negative 1, negative 10, we have a point. The square root of 30 is about 5 divided by 3. It's about 1 point something, so I guess it's somewhere over here-ish. And if we go over here, it's somewhere over here-ish. And we can kind of see that this parabola crosses the x-axis. The reason you know that it crosses the x-axis, it had zeros, meaning y is 0, so that would be where this line y is equal to 0, which is actually called the x-axis. And therefore it must cross that x-axis. Okay, so yes, that was the general form. Now you guys are more familiar with the standard form because this is the form we used when we did transformations. Same rule applies for A. You have a min and max rule. If A is positive, then the vertex is a minimum. If A is negative, then the vertex is a maximum. H and K come from obviously here and here. H is a liar still. Find the zeros with the square root property. We've done that. That would be like if I gave you y equals negative, I don't know, x plus 3 squared plus 4. So if we're going to solve that, we have 0 is equal to negative x plus 3 squared plus 4, which is minus 4 is equal to negative x plus 3 squared divided by negative 1. 4 is equal to x plus 3 squared, square root. 2 is equal to, plus or minus 2 is equal to x plus 3, minus 3, minus 3. So now we have negative 3 plus or minus 2 is equal to x. Your zeros here are x equals negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, and negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. And so that one has a x-intercept, and we can take care of it. Now, let's do a problem. Let's do another one, and we'll find out zeros and things like that. So, I guess I'll just write any problem. Let's do 2x squared minus 4x plus 8. I don't know if this is going to have zeros and be nice, but it could be. So if we want to find A here is 2. Obviously, it's a number with x squared. we want to find the vertex, x equals negative b, which is negative 4. This is b, divided by 2 over 2, which gives us positive 1, because 4 divided by 4. So we've got positive 1. We're going to plug that in. 2 times 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 8. This is 2 minus 4 plus 8. 2 minus 4 is negative 2 plus 8. That's 6. So this vertex is 1, 6. Zeros, we're going to set it equal to 0 and solve it. So let's do that. 2x squared minus 4x plus 8. I noticed that the greatest common factor is 2, so I'm going to factor 2 out. X squared minus 2x plus 4. We can divide by 2. We have, and I need to erase some of this because I don't want it to overlap. Okay. So now we have x squared minus 2x plus 4 is equal to 0. I don't think that has factors, but I guess we can try it. X equals negative b, negative 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared, negative 2 squared, minus 4 times 1, all over 2 times 1. So this is 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 16. Okay, so we can see right away this is not going to have answers. The reason I know this is going to be negative 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 12 over 2. And if I simplify that, this is 2 square root 3. So this is 2 plus or minus 2i square root 3 over 2, which gives us 1 plus or minus I square root 3. Okay, so this has zeros, but there are no real zeros. And so what that means is when we graph this, let's look at some other things real quick. We said the vertex is 1, 6. So we've got 1, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. There's our vertex at 1, 6. Now, is this upward or downward facing? Well, A here is 2, so that means it's positive. So that means it's upward. So it looks like this. And so it's no surprise to us that this does not have any zeros because this is not crossing the x-axis, which is down here. And so these must be imaginary. Okay. And so that's the general idea of this, guys. There are lots of videos on this. Is that a max or min? Well, you can see it's the lowest point right here at the bottom, the vertex is. So that is a minimum. Upward or downward, we said it's upward facing. And next we will get into quadratic applications. And you guys can see there's a couple things you got to know about these things. Make a little checklist and hopefully you guys will be able to do all this. So thank you guys for watching. We're going to move on to the next topic.